Welcome to today. It's January 22nd, 2024. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's nice to see you. I'll just jump right in. So, being open is crucial to living the life of our dreams. And so I
Certainly
thought
easier.
it's easier.
That would be the
Yeah.
normal response. Or, oh yes, I agree with you, or oh, I don't agree. Instead, it's
Because
oh,
if you're holding, that's an interesting word. And so if you're holding like I'm right or you're wrong or something, then you're not open. And
you're
and
holding a
there's
stance, I
that
think of it.
rigidness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. When you hold a stance, we have to protect it because it's important to you. Well, I'm a big fan of the Tao Te Ching, yeah? What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. In other words, would you like to be you? Does it require someone else to be like you in order for you to be you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer, of course, is ideally not. It's fun. Yeah, we have an opportunity here. So each one of those stops, each one of those mental game is the opportunity to return to you. When you feel the resistance, experience it, and ideally go with it until it shifts itself. When you're
Yes.
more neutral, then you can say, well, I'm going swimming today. Would you like to come? Say no. Okay, thanks. And you're off.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And so do you have an example of how maybe in the past you were you hadn't yet been practicing the
I would
wonder
just be
method?
arguing. Doesn't matter who
Uh-huh.
with.
Yeah.
The intellect was very important. It meant a lot. And my opinions meant a lot.
Uh-huh.
Now they're just opinions. Everybody's got
Uh-huh.
them.
And that makes me think of a more mature.
See, to me, when I say things like that, I'm trying them. I'm not putting it off to do it later. Now is what I have. Now is when I'm going to do it. Before I'd say, oh, well, I'll do that when I've got some time. No. This is the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is your moment. You're angry with somebody, process. You're fearful about something, process.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give in to the mind story. As soon as the mind does that little journey,
Mm-hmm.
you're running the squirrel cage of, here I
Mm.
go. I'm gonna now,
Yeah.
and they didn't do that, and they didn't do that. You're making a list in your mind of all the things they didn't do, or you should
Mm-hmm.
have done, or vice versa, or I don't like.
Like, well, that wasn't, and so you didn't give yourself time to feel it and make that choice.
You could
Um,
have just made the time right then. I'm excited
yeah.
about this. Oh, I could probably give up. I don't know if I could give up eating for a month,
Yeah.
but give up going out for a month.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you could process how it makes you feel that you'd have to give up eating for a month
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the stories your mind told you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
And
you
it's that
feel it and
instant
let it change,
gratification.
yeah, it's instant gratification. Also, it's the expectation there should be a conflict and that in order to have A, you must give up B. Well, what if you just said, oh, yeah, $600, great, bring it home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
maybe
like.
the money is there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know the money's not there. Oh, good. And that's processing. See, every one of the excuses is the entry
Mm-hmm.
point. Before I do the same thing you're talking about, I would argue in my head about it. Should I
Mm-hmm.
get this? Should I get that? Will we have enough money for X? Won't we have enough money for X?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And just bring it in and allow it to make a shift. Allow it to
Bring
shift.
it in, and I think of it as letting it through or going into it until I
Uh-huh.
come out the other side. It's a journey of change rather than this is the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then when we think of something like that in like if someone had a real shopping addiction or a over
Okay.
swimming addiction, something is like,
I
you
swim too
know,
much.
then that would be like an old habit or an old pattern, something we'd want to maybe heal and then create a different life, create, it's like stop with the instant gratification of the shopping and actually save money or use our time instead of swimming to go and uh, write a book or something.
Mhm.
So like everything we do, really that inner child within us determines it and kind of decides like,
I
no,
think of
I'm
it as
not going
the
to
inner
do that.
mind and its conflicts.
Okay.
You might
And so
say
this,
it's childlike to have that instant gratifications, but
mhm,
who are they patterning themselves after? Well, their parents who seem to have everything, you know.
mm,
Daddy has a phone, mommy has a phone. Why don't I have a phone?
mm.
Yeah. Oh, you can get the phone that's left over when we buy new phones.
Or
You
when
know
your
that.
big sister or brother
Yeah.
is done with their
Yeah,
phone.
that's right. So there's this sense of not enough or sense of lack. Now, a little kid, you can teach them to process, and if they'll do it, it really works fast because they don't really have any doubts,
Mm-hmm.
but they do find it easy to get caught in a cycle, in a circle,
Mm-hmm.
just like,
Mm-hmm.
but we pattern after our parents, we pattern after our peers, we pattern after
Mm-hmm.
our teachers or people we think are important.
So
And
then, oh, go ahead.
and that's why the conflict is often there, because they're in conflict. They're not in balance. They're not happy with life.
The grown-ups are in
Yeah.
conflict.
Or
Yeah.
the authority figure or the peer that you think of as fabulous,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be just like Barbie,
Mm-hmm.
or the
Right. So
Barbie
then
movie's out, right? So
yeah, 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 yeah. So then you're speaking to I think what I'm hearing is hold on to your own power and be that sovereign choice maker. And um,
the word hold, I would take exception to.
oh yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're not losing anything. If you feel like you're losing something, that's an opportunity.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I experience X. I feel its limitation. Okay, there's my entry point. But I'm not going to hang on to it. It's not wrong to be an over shopper. You might have trouble walking in your house, or you might have, you may find that your ends don't meet at the end of the month and you're going deeper and deeper into debt. It's not bad. It's just, eventually they'll stop giving you money.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
people judge all that. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it's not my preference.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hoarders, you say, oh, how could anybody live that? I knew a hoarder that hoarded to the degree that they couldn't walk in their house, so they bought another mobile home and put it next to that one.
Uh-huh.
Now you could judge them for it,
Yeah.
and at the time when they did that, I did judge them for it. I said, how can anybody live like that? But I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think any of it's bad. I think all of it's about inner conflict and
Uh-huh.
loss and hopes and dreams and fears and that kind of stuff.
So
And
then the
those
inner
are
conflict,
adjustable.
those are adjustable. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we adjust the inner conflict and
By
get all of
being,
our pieces on board
I
to
don't know
then
how
live the
many
life of
pieces there
others?
are. See, I don't worry about that. The only piece
Okay.
I have right now is the piece that's knocking me upside the head. So that's what I
Okay.
use. If I'm worried about how many pieces are all, that's another piece.
Yeah,
See, as it
that
comes
brings
up,
mind. That
yeah,
brings mind. Okay.
as it comes up, I work with it. If it's not coming up, I enjoy the day. Oh, I should have thought of that. Oh, okay.
Yes.
No,
And
that's
so
our
with the
process.
wonder method, we kind of switch. I don't know if switch is the right word, but there's the opening with the breath with wonder, and then there's the processing, which is not no breath
There's the
with wonder.
healing status, there's the healing model, and there's the processing model.
Mhm.
You could say that they do overlap, but generally speaking, I think of the healing model as when I'm doing the breath with wonder, which produces a temporary space of relative openness. So whether you're personally that open or not, when you work with somebody, the technique temporarily at minimum opens you enough to help them. The
Mhm.
processing eventually leads to a continuous opening, but maybe that's a week, maybe that's a year, maybe that's 5 years. I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
it's 5 minutes. Depends on the individual.
Right. And so then that opening, creating the opening, um, regarding living the life of our dreams. So you're speaking of it as healing, and I'm looking at it too as a this opening as kind of a portal to allow to receive, almost like the feminine principle that we spoke of a couple days ago, where there's this, you're able to then receive that dream, and you're not feeling that resistance in that moment, and in that moment it does become real. And maybe I'm marrying it with processing, because the processing uses the wonder statement, which does create the reality. um
I think of the wonder statement in each of the previous three statements, feel, feeling, feeling, and so on. Their design is to show resistance or not resistance.
yeah.
They're not a litany. They're not if you just say these to yourself, you'll be there. Not
Yeah, and so again, just that opening does create that receptivity. Yeah,
it
because there's no
makes,
resistance.
because there's no resistance, all possibilities exist. Which possibility do you particularly want? The
Right.
possibility I want has one with many zeros afterwards.
Uh-huh,
Okay,
uh-huh,
say wealth.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
And what's the amount that you really, really believe you could get? Well, maybe 10,000. Okay, great.
Mm,
What if the universe, so to speak, wants to give you 100,000? Is that okay? Well, yeah, sure. How about 1 million? Well, okay, sure. How about 10 million? How about 1 billion? Oh, I can't imagine that.
yes, okay.
I see. I see. So
Because then you have
then,
to step into being that person. You have to be the billionaire.
no, you have to feel the sensation that makes you believe you're not a billionaire.
Okay.
Now that might mean that you get $200, and maybe for today that's all you really need, and you're a billionaire in a sense for today with
Mhm,
$100. You give a
mhm.
kid $100, holy crap! There's a lot of stuff they can buy. Give them $1,000, they've gone to heaven. I'm putting this in the bank, and when I get two more, I'm going to buy a car. Okay,
That's fun.
so you see, it's not little achievement boxes. It's the resistances within ourselves that make it seem as if we don't have enough or there isn't enough for me. Do I need $1 billion? Probably not. What would you do with it? I don't have.
Mhm.
I'd go out to lunch. But
In
I, you
Italy.
know, I don't even really enjoy eating out that much. I would, see, it's just, it's personal likes and desires.
Hmm.
You have, okay, you have. Now what? Well, I guess I'll go to the store.
Hmm.
Now you got all these toys in your front yard. Is that what
Guess
you
I'll
really
go to the
want?
store. That's so fun.
Yeah. So
Okay.
again, it's just, where are the holdings inside yourself? You don't need to know. Your mind will supply them. You don't have enough money this week to go out to eat. Process. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be as small as, darn, I'm out of staples. Process.
Hmm.
Wonder what it
Hmm.
might be about having all the staples you need. You
Yeah.
open a drawer and sure as peanuts, there's a box of staples.
Yeah.
It's more than enough for today, let me tell you. It's a box of staples.
Yes.
And it's a little stapler. You know,
It's the world's
it
smallest
doesn't
stapler.
yeah, it doesn't matter what the toy is that you believe you're lacking. They're all the same thing. I don't have this. It's causing resistance. Whether it's a wife, a husband, a significant other, whatever wording you want to use these days. Whether it's going to Iceland or wherever that picture is. Do you
Mm-hmm.
really want to go? No, but I like the picture. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Oh, I really want to go. Well, process. Notice how it
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel, and it doesn't appear that you can go. Maybe you
Yeah,
get a
one
job that, now it doesn't matter where you work, and you decide to live in Iceland for a month.
totally. One of my favorite stories in the book you wrote, Awakening with Wonder, it towards the back, and you even said it was one of your favorite stories, was the gal who was saving money. She moved to the West Coast. She became a healer. She didn't have money to buy things. She didn't have things, but she realized she needed some things. She needed a foam roller. She needed a printer. And so she processed, and there was this table in her building that was like the freebie table.
Mm.
And these things she was
Kept
processing
showing
kept
up.
showing up.
Yeah. I'll,
No,
I'll give
that's
you
pretty
a
amazing.
fancy one from just about a month ago.
Okay.
So this fella was he trained dogs, and he'd advertise on Facebook. And he was quite successful. I mean, I would call it very successful, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars
Hmm,
um, every few months successful.
holy moly.
And Facebook changed the way they accepted advertising.
Hmm.
And his work fell to a quarter or less, really, about a third, quarter, about an eighth of what it had been, simply
Hmm.
because he couldn't use the same style of wording. And he had a nice house with a mortgage, and he
Hmm.
was having trouble making payments. I said, well, look, process. How does it make you feel they changed? You don't assume that the answer is going to come from the same quarter that you thought it had before. So he continues to process, and he wonders what it might be. And we see what he really wanted. He didn't really care what he did as long as the income was good. But he did enjoy cooking. And he just decided to start doing talks on cooking. And he got a following. He has over 1 million followers in a month and a half.
Okay.
He has a, what do you call those people that manage you? He has a manager. An agent, there's the word. He has an agent now that finds people for him to interview and for things to go on. And it's just snowballed into this, big time success thing. And
Oh,
he is making a lot more. He's probably making 10 times what he did originally,
oh wow.
simply through this change. Now that's a pretty fancy one from a person that, you know, he wasn't hurting by any stretch of the imagination, but he was hurting from a person that was used to having, 800,000 a year.
Yeah, he had set a certain standard of living, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden that was being a little,
And now it's
uh,
more like 2 million a year right now.
okay.
If it
And
continues,
so
assuming
that's
it continues.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And really, the only thing he did was make a choice to process.
Versus decide how it had to be.
And
And
somehow there was a creative opening because he had the idea to switch from dog training to
he didn't
culinary.
have the idea to
Okay.
switch from A to B. He just thought it'd be fun. Well, that's not working well, so maybe I'll do a talk on cooking. And it just took off.
Huh.
It just went viral.
It went viral.
Yeah. He
Okay.
didn't know it was going to go viral. His dog business never went viral. It was just, he built it up gradually over a few years.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that sort of happened with you when you got on your movie.
Yeah. I
You went
didn't know it was
viral.
going to, I wondered what it might be about having an amazing, successful business.
Yeah.
And so that had the presumption ahead of that I didn't have a successful business.
What's the name of the movie again?
Emotion.
Yeah, Emotions, a very good movie.
Yeah.
So let's talk about gratitude, love, and the wonder statement, because that does help us rewrite or rewire or unfold from our previous patterns, beliefs, habits, or whatever it is we're holding. But gratitude is a really great way to inform the universe that we love receiving.
Ah, but you see, I'm not using it that way.
Okay.
So initially you feel the feeling, right?
Yeah.
I don't have $600 to buy a rug if I want to eat. Okay. Then you have gratitude for the fact that you don't have $600. Now, I wouldn't have gratitude. I would have a resistance from saying I have gratitude. That's how I'm using it. You may eventually say, oh, I'm grateful that I don't have $600 for this. You might be, but most people wouldn't be. So in other words, you're using what's there. And then you feel love for yourself for creating a reality where you don't even have $600 to buy a carpet if you want to eat this month. Now, you're not going to feel love for that. Most people wouldn't feel love for themselves. They would feel a sensation in both cases. And
Hmm.
that's what we're processing.
So those two things are designed to move the energy whichever way you
They're
feel.
designed to show if there's conflict.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Can you love yourself for not having $600?
I can love myself all the time, whether I have $600 or not.
Well,
But there may be a
then
feeling of lack if I
if
really
there's
want
a
the rug
fee,
and don't have,
yeah.
yeah,
And if there's a feeling of lack, that's the value of the phrase.
yeah,
That gives you the sensation. See, we want at the sensations.
yeah. Okay.
And if it's just this mental exercise, I really imagine that I have $600. I'm imagining I'm not going to get $600. It's not going to happen. That's what your mind is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, process instead.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make the assumption. Maybe you'll go outside and you go to the used clothing store, and they have a rug on sale for $50, and it happens to look just like the $600 one. I
Yes.
don't know. Or maybe somebody just say, hey, I forgot that I owed you this money. Here you are. Or maybe you get a
Uh-huh.
better job. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? So again, it's the
That's
sensation it offers that's valuable.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not the story, it's the sensation.
And
So
the
we test.
sensation, yeah, it does allow an opening again. I mean, even though we're not doing the breath with wonder during processing, there is this new, like this
There's a
shift,
right.
you
There's this
know?
change from A to B.
Yeah. And so then I wonder then after the wonder statement, so we've gone through the processing, we've gone through the issue, we're through the other side, we've felt the gratitude, the love, we've said our wonder statement, we've had the shift, and then we can feel the issue again. If it tugs on us, go ahead and process again. If
Yeah,
it doesn't,
repeat,
enjoy the day.
repeat,
Right.
stir and repeat, rinse and
It,
repeat.
and so, what if after the wonder statement, we kind of start? I mean, this is, I guess, beyond the wonder method, but start kind of dialoguing with the guides a little bit and sort of
Do you believe you need
claiming a new
guides?
choice. What's that?
Well, why do you need guides? Do you believe you have guides? Great, talk to them. How does it make you feel? They're giving you different answers. How does it
Uh-huh.
make you feel? Use the sensation again. Don't get back in your head. Oh, my guides
Uh-huh.
say, well, I can't have this year. Next year I'll get it. Well, how does that make you feel? Well, kind of
Yeah.
like shit. I'm
Or you
not
have
going
to
to
do
get
a
it
hundred
this year.
somersaults first, and then you
Right,
can do
right,
it.
right. How many Hail Marys or whatever it is. So the key here is not the story.
Yeah.
The key is the sensation. The story goes on forever.
And the story is looking, so that would be looking for the guides or listening for the guides, and that's
And it's not wrong to have guides, but
yeah.
why are you letting them run your life?
Okay.
They can offer, they're guides, they're not gods.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, that's a really big subject and
It's a
fraught
big subject.
with deep
It's kind of big.
beliefs.
And so then, but then like being shown the next thing, show me the next thing, or
Well, so that's the
I'm
mind again, wanting to be satisfied, so that that
uh,
it's like, Dad, will you tell me how to get here? We're looking for the parental figure, in my opinion, that will show me the path. And that's not
ah,
bad. You can have really good guides. It's okay. It's just
yeah.
not my path. I don't, no, I shouldn't say that. I am not adverse to any of it. Say you're into lucid dreaming and you say, I want to have a lucid dream that tells me my next step. Great. Is it okay if the next step doesn't come during the dream? That would be my question.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does come during the dream, then what happens? Are you always going to be striving for the next lucid dream and be frustrated? And why isn't it happening today? It happened last time. See, again, story, 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 story.
Mm-hmm. So
Feel.
then that's helpful. And so let me ask you then, because okay, so um we have an issue, we go through it, we do the love, gratitude, love, wonder statement, and then we just kind of we're enjoying our day now. And it's like, okay, and then something eventually shows up, it just does. That's
It
just kind
does
of
or
how
it
it works.
doesn't.
But and if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then it's like, well, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And the only
And
thing
that's
that
what you'd process.
yeah, okay.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. Like,
What
am I
didn't I
stuck?
do? Am
Am
I
I still in my
stuck?
old belief? Like, am I hitting the
See,
beliefs?
and you see how the mind is creating those walls. Think of
Yeah.
your mind as like a box,
Yeah.
okay? And it's got walls, okay? You have
Mm-hmm.
a thought, and instead of going until it opens, in other words, linked to sensation, it goes to a wall that says, nope, you can't get there. And so, why can't I get there? That's another one. And it bounces off the next wall. That one bounces off the next wall. And you never get out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
You're just caught in that mental framework.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So really it's just being willing to play and have fun.
It's being willing to unfold and not know where you're going. Must you
Mm-hmm.
value what others value, avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to that. The art of being is an art. It's a dance. It's not a mathematical formula that X always equals Y. It is, or X plus one always equals Y. It's, this is the sensation. I will unfold. Now, what they used to say was I would bend like the willow, like the reed, and things would move through or move past me. I would stay me. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I've encountered a wind that is pushing hard. Feel the sensation that I have to bend with this in order to survive. Let it unfold. Where will that take me? I don't know. I don't need to know. I am different from ordinary people, is the way that Tao Te Ching ends. I drink from the great mother's breast, is what it says. But basically, what it is I am allowing myself to unfold to an infinite rather than a finite. Now, understand, infinite means no end. So you're not going to know where you are relative to some imaginary end. All you're going
Mm-hmm.
to know is that here you are. Are you happy? I'm happy enough. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
great process. I'm happy enough because that's implying lack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I'm happy, except when I step on doorknobs or whatever. So you process, you process. Your fear is that you'll have to step on a doorknob, according to your phrase. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's not really a doorknob, it's more nails. Oh, you fear stepping on nails. Well, I fear stepping on the eggshells of life that make me feel like I'm going to break through into a place I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's your entry point. And don't worry about what it is. You don't have to have the perfect phrase. You know
Mm-hmm.
there's a stop here. You feel inner angst. That's your stop. You feel your
Mm-hmm.
stomach going, ugh. That's your stop. You feel
Mm-hmm.
your mind going like this. That sensation is the stop.
Mm-hmm.
Every sense of wall, every sense of resistance
Mm-hmm.
is the entry point to change. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to know how it's going to change. That's your wall. That's what you process. It didn't change the way I wanted. That's your resistance. That's what you process.
Mm-hmm. And
Every
there's no
story.
shortage of resistance and walls.
In the beginning, it seems like it will never end. Usually, if you're really consistent with this stuff, 6 weeks to 2 months, there's fewer and fewer.
Uh-huh. Smooth, everything gets smoother.
It gets smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get freer, as Ram Dass used to say
You get
in
freer.
the Be Here Now books. So,
Ram
yeah, and you get
Dass.
freer.
Mm,
So,
okay.
where's the end? Oh, you expect there to be an end.
Mm,
Why is there an end? Are you going to live tomorrow? Well, I plan on it. I see. No, I don't plan on living tomorrow. Is that an end? I don't know. Do
mm,
you believe that life ends when you take your last breath this time around? I don't know. I can play all the mental games. Oh, yes, we lived many lives before, and I'll live many lives from this. Or maybe I'll reach enlightenment and this is my last incarnation. Maybe.
mm-hmm,
Who knows if that's true? It's just somebody wrote down.
mm-hmm,
Is it a
mm-hmm,
truth, or is it something that a lot of people would prefer? So they call it a truth.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Again, I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean.
Nice.
You just
Nice.
are. And that's the difference. If you
Yeah.
feel there's lack, process. If you feel there's plenty, enjoy the day. If you're attached to that plenty, process.
Uh-huh. That's good. Yes. Very
Mhm.
nice. So what this then, there's two things that are coming up for me. One is the creation process. Let's say somebody's an artist or somebody's learning to sing who's never sung before, or an artist who's never painted, or a poet who's never written poetry, or all these things, but really has this calling within, this like creative urge within that uh, is continues. It just continues calling them, and it's like, and so I guess creating from this place. So let's say,
Well, say you want to sing.
yeah.
Okay. Sing a note. Any note. Go ahead.
You know, hello.
Okay. Does it sound like you wanted it to sound?
I
Were you
think
happy
it
with
sounded
that?
good. Yes.
Great. Okay. Sing a note that challenges you.
Goodbye.
Okay. Was that the way you wanted it to be?
It could have been better.
I see. So feel the sensation. It could have been better. Just whatever's there. Don't look for something specific. Just feel what you have. That's it. Now ease in, let in, however you like to process. Go for it. Until shift. Now, when you choose shift, really make sure that it's an opening throughout your body. And if it isn't, go lighter. There's where you're shifting. Yeah? Do it
Hmm.
again. Try the note.
Goodbye.
Okay. You had more confidence in it. You didn't quite believe that it would be better. So feel the sensation again. I didn't quite believe it would get better. Yeah, that. Just that. Don't look for more. That's it. There's nothing to find when you're going. You're just going until shift.
I do feel it, it's rippling through my
Yeah.
body.
So do
Hmm.
it again. Good. Hello or goodbye or whatever you said.
Okay. I mean, it involves a breath, so I have to breathe. Hold on.
It's okay. Do you notice that this time you decided to prepare rather than just do it? Go ahead.
Goodbye.
Okay.
I think
So
that was
each one's a
better.
little bit different.
The
Yes.
listener would
Now, have
know.
you ever listened? Have you ever listened to anybody coach somebody on how to make a note sound good?
Yes.
I see. What do they say?
uh, it's like landing the plane. So you have your breath and then you have your voice, and you want to do a smooth landing.
I
And
see.
if there's any bumps, then you need a stronger breath foundation.
I want you to do this for me. I want you to go. Uh, I really want you to pop it. So your stomach muscles get. Okay. Now do your voice again.
Goodbye.
Huh. Isn't that interesting? When the diaphragm has greater support, the voice is better. And
Look at you
so,
being a singing teacher.
well, I studied a little bit.
Oh,
So the point here is you wanted to be better. You processed. I made a suggestion. It improved. You didn't have to even go anywhere. It just happened today. Now. Isn't that
yeah.
interesting?
And it feels good. I feel my heart feels happy and
Yeah.
yeah, happy, kind of giddy. I feel a little giddy.
Well, there you go.
And
And
so that can be applied to any creative process.
that's it. You see, everybody says, well, that's for singing. I mean, he just, did that. I says, oh, well, what else do you want to do? Singing the best one? I don't know. But I do
Yeah.
know that if you, play in the realm, I think of it, this is the realm. Okay. If you're playing in the realm, there are certain things that appear to make it easier to play in the realm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of which is having breath control and understanding the musculature of your body to support the flow of air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we play the game,
Mm-hmm.
but understand that it goes well beyond what you see in the reality, because you'll start to realize things that aren't so written down. And they can only be implied, not demonstrated in the conventional sense.
Like what?
Well, there's a rhythm to singing that you can study, but if you just do it the way the rhythm is, it sounds karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then there's living it, feeling it, and being able to sing at the same time. That's the artist part.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. That's right.
Okay. So those are less tangibles. I wonder
Mm-hmm.
what it might be about. Positive statement now. Feeling, emoting incredibly eloquently through my
Mm.
voice and the sounds they produce to such a degree that people go whenever I sing. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that to me sounds like something I want.
Right.
Do I believe that right now? No.
Right.
So I feel
Right.
the sensation. Or maybe I have that, but I'm not discovered. So I process. I sing better than 99% of the planet, but I don't have a contract. I don't have a record deal. So you feel that. I wonder what it
Mm-hmm.
might be about having a record deal that changes my life and fulfills me completely.
Mm.
And again, there's this kind of doubt there. Well, use it. It's showing you where the wall is. The mind wall says it's only this big, and it needs to be this big for that to happen. So you process. And pretty soon you realize that's too small. The room's too small. The earth may be too small.
Mm.
And so you continue to process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then too, I love that what you said. And then I'm thinking too, you know, I didn't, so I am learning to sing, and you know that. And um, I didn't come into learning to sing with the idea that I would perform. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought it would be fun to do for personal. But as I
Sure.
learned to sing, I realized most people who sing are on a stage with a microphone and there's an audience. And that part
If
scares me.
that's
But
what you
then,
want, that's great.
right. But so then I'm going, is that what I want? And
So just
what I
process. Is
landed,
that what I
but hold
want?
on.
Huh.
Right. Right. And what I realized, even just this morning, I realized, maybe singing isn't actually the end here. Maybe, because there is no end, but maybe I'm learning to discover this voice that's inside that wants to come out so that the next chapter or whatever, wherever I'm going, needed this experience in order to then kind of
This is
up
a
level.
stepping stone to more. It's an
Yeah.
internal resistance. We think of all resistances. Let's make these all the reasons See, well,
Yeah.
hold on, where you can see. These are all the reasons I can't have X.
Uh-huh.
As you process them, they drop away in groups after a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And you don't even have to empty the whole container. You'll reach a tipping point where it just dominoes away. And then this is gone. There's no container to make all these reasons have validity any longer. Or
Mhm.
you could think of them like a string of pearls. We're wearing this string of pearls of all the crap we're afraid of.
Mhm.
Pretty soon we just have a string, and then we don't need the string. We're
Yeah.
allowed to just be. And that's what I'm talking about. You're just evolving. But yeah, it's a stepping stone to something more. But I enjoy singing. I've enjoyed singing my whole life. I even considered going on stage. There
Hmm.
was, at that age, I'd have to get over some um, personal fears of singing in front of groups. But I tried out for some musicals. I went the extra mile. I
All
didn't
right.
get any of them, but
Uh-huh.
I wasn't that good either. But
There's always that.
I found
Yeah.
that I enjoyed singing, but I didn't enjoy in singing enough to get that much better at singing.
Yeah, I'm like I'm aware of like my family going, "Oh, come on, give it up." It's like, and they're not doing that at this point that
Uh-huh.
I know of, but I'm aware that's a possibility too. So it's like
See, that's another
anyway,
thing that I would process. Every one
yeah,
of those little blips. I sing all the time at home. My wife
yeah,
just ignores me.
same. My husband's like, "No,
Yeah.
you don't sound any better than you did before." I'm going, I think I do.
Uh-huh. And the point is, you're the only one you have to satisfy. If he's leaving every time you sing, you might consider processing more.
He actually bought a guitar, so I think
Oh,
we're gonna
good for
start a
him.
band.
All right. There you go.
Anyway,
See,
the other
it's
thing
fun. Go ahead.
it,
What's the next
it
question?
does end up becoming fun. Um, The other thing that came up, and this is maybe a bigger topic to explore later or not at all, but like the neurology. Everyone's talking about, the neurons in the brain and creating new pathways for creativity and releasing the habits and the
And that's the
brain, the
again, that's the
reptile.
scientific view.
Okay.
And it's not that they don't work. It's that the initial comment is so narrow that the mind says, oh, I can only do it if I'm between these two walls.
Mhm.
And I'm suggesting there doesn't need to be walls. It's astounding what we can do if we don't build from limitation.
Mm.
They tell you that, oh, yeah, yeah, say it 300 times and it'll become a habit or whatever it is, 3 times or 30 times. I forget what it is. But there's this number. And until you said it that way, the odds of you remembering it are unlikely because the mind has, what they call it, neuroplasty. It has a plasticity to it at certain ages. And then when you're older, you might have to say it 1,000 times instead of 300 because
Yeah.
your mind has less neuroplasticity.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Uh-huh.
man, I guess I won't even try.
Mm.
I see. Well, maybe the phrase is what's limiting you, not the neuroplasticity. Are you more forgetful? Perhaps, but maybe you just don't care all that much.
Mhm. Gotcha.
So it's really every issue is the same issue.
Okay.
If the story model fits you and you like it, then play the game. Oh yes, I'll bathe in cold water every day for 1 minute the first day and 5 minutes by the end of the week and 10 minutes and up to 20 minutes, and then my body will be amazingly healthier.
Mm.
Great, that's a lot of ice, but have fun. And that's the limit, right? In my mind, that's a lot of ice. So I
Uh-huh.
process, they have ice down at the corner. I can just get it by the block, set it in the tub. Get enough of it, it'll last how long? And it'll last a week if I put a cover over it,
Uh-huh.
and I'll just get in every day. So the point here is, if that's your dream, if that's what's making your boat float higher in the water, then go for it.
Uh-huh. Go
But
for it.
if all you're looking at is this is a problem, then That's what you're going to process.
So it's really quite simple. I mean, even if we do have our old patterns and beliefs and habits that are, holding us back or keeping us stuck, it's like actually, it's not that complicated.
This is really simple work. Everybody wants a really complex thing. They want a complex game. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile.
Mhm.
You're not the only one. But there aren't that many willing to step beyond the boundaries of the norm. It's always been that way. Does it have to continue that way? No. But it's been that way for a long time. We're a product of it. And breaking free from that boundary, that shell, is what the Wonder Method is about. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mysteries and manifestations arise from the same source. It's from the unknown, from darkness. Or it
Mhm.
could be light if you'd rather. You still can't see nothing. It's all white,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
So the key here is a sense of I don't have and I want. That's the limitation. That's seeing only the manifestations. Okay? Free from desire, free from the inner conflict, we experience the infinite possibility. That's where beingness comes into play versus caught and constant mind chatter. And that's really all of the stories are all the same. I'm not
Mm.
healthy. Great process. I'm not wealthy enough. Great process. I don't have a dog. Great process. I can't buy a rug. Great process. I don't
Mhm.
have as shiny a stone as the kid next door. Great process. Will you get the same stone? I don't know. Maybe the kid will just give it to you. He didn't care about the stone, or she didn't care about the stone. It was just another rock. But it was pretty.
Mhm. And with the dog, you can go adopt a dog for a day or so. You can try out different dogs
Try out
before you get one.
dogs. Yeah,
I saw an
truly.
ad recently on social media where if you go to Hawaii, you can adopt a dog because the dog wants to get out of the shelter and play. And
Right.
then as a tourist, you can have a dog.
There you go. Yeah, because it's 6 weeks or something. They have quarantine before they can be on them. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah. In Japan, that's a really common thing. You rent a dog for a day.
it is, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they're expensive to keep.
So there you go. I have one final question for you before I think we should wrap up. But uh Japan, so one of my big concerns on planet Earth is the quality of our water and air and food. Um, but with Fukushima and the whole
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nuclear water, it's now the solution to it is I believe that this is still the solution they came up with is to let the nuclear water just drip out into the ocean. That's what they're going to do.
They decided
That's
not
what
to
they're
deal with
doing.
it. They decided to just
So,
dump it. Yeah.
and that's
So
like
I
oh,
process how that makes me
hmm,
feel. I
yeah.
process my fears of what'll this do to me? What'll this do to our planet? I
Uh-huh,
process. I
uh-huh,
wonder what it might be about it being a non-issue. It's just working out.
uh-huh.
I wonder about,
Because
I wonder
mother,
what it might be about them coming to a whole new conclusion of an excellent way to deal with it.
yeah. I mean, my dad tells me, don't worry about Mother Earth. She knows how to handle herself. And I go, oh, okay. But humans are sure messing her up.
Great. I would process that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that, but look what's happening. You could say that on the political scene. You could say that on the amount of oil on the planet. You could say that on the conflicts about which car you should drive. And oh, those electric cars, they just don't work that good in the cold, they tell us, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Every conflict is a mental story. I didn't get to drive 600 miles a day because it was so cold out, my batteries wouldn't charge. Well, I see. Process that. Maybe you
Mhm.
can work from home and be just as complete. Maybe you
Mhm.
can just decide to get on an airplane and go somewhere else. Who
Mhm.
knows what the conclusion is? Maybe your electric car doesn't have a problem. It's those
Mhm.
people's electric cars. Maybe they forgot you need to set the setting to precondition the batteries before you go to the site to get. Because
Mhm.
if you don't, you're not going to have a very fast charge. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. The colder
Mhm.
temperature just makes it worse.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
all these things are the games. My game is to feel. Doesn't have to be everybody's game. Do I think it benefit everybody on the planet? I definitely do. I can think of some very decided people that I wish they would. But that's my hangup. I should process. I wish they would feel,
Mhm.
because evidently I believe they aren't.
Mhm.
And that's my boundary, not theirs.
Mhm.
Their
Mhm.
boundary is they're happy. My boundary is their boundaries make me unhappy.
Mhm.
But that's the
Yeah.
same thing. The Japanese government's boundary is making me unhappy. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's Sally next door that's making you unhappy, even
Mm.
though it's a minor issue compared to the releasing of um, tritium or whatever the material is, or heavy uranium into the oceans.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't have to know. I only need to be willing to unwind, and the rest simply unfolds. The guy didn't realize that talking about cooking on TV would make him, or on YouTube or whatever it was, would
Mm.
make him the living he always wanted.
So he wouldn't have to lose his house.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he just knew that he still likes working with dogs. He still does,
Mhm.
but the orientation has changed.
Mhm.
Now they're coming to him instead of him having to get them to come to him.
Mhm.
In other words, there's 8 dogs and there's 20 million people that are cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing with cooking. Everyone eats. It's a good
Imagine that. So
yeah.
the point here is how it comes into being. You don't know. You don't need to know. Are you willing to let it be an open-ended place of way of living?
Mm.
Because if you are, I promise you open-ending living is there for you. And
Mhm.
interestingly, it's filled with what many call abundance, because
Mhm.
it's open-ended. It's infinite. It's not, I got this and they didn't.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
what was it? Buckminster Fuller said, if they actually let all the minerals, etc., be available to everybody, every person on the planet would be a multimillionaire many times over.
Uh-huh.
It's not that there's lack, it's the perception of lack and the perception that greed is valuable so that you don't have lack.
Mm.
That's what's in the way, at least to some degree. So
Yeah.
you process, and all of a sudden your lack doesn't exist. Johnny down the street, well, his lack is showing right up. You know, does
Poor
that
old
make you
Johnny.
better than Johnny? No, it makes you not into lack. His
Yeah,
game
and you
is
can go
great.
tell
He's hey,
Johnny,
great,
"Hey,
great.
why don't you check out this processing thing?" And he could be like,
Yeah,
"Take a hike." And it's like, "Well, fine."
and that's fine. Yeah, I don't need to change the world. I only need to
Mhm.
change me.
Mhm.
Interestingly, the world changes too. It is so
Mhm.
hard to believe that that's the truth, but it appears to work that way.
Very cool. Love it. Thank you, Alan. I mean, I consider you very great at creating or uh, not living in past patterns. And so thank you for taking this time to share some of your thoughts around this today. Really
My
appreciate it.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I know that you've got your website, thewondermethod.com, and you teach classes, and some of your instructors teach classes as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. New ones all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's just, we're just playing. We're just playing.
we're just playing. And so more information can be found on thewondermethod.com to learn this method if it interests you, for
Yeah,
anybody who's watching.
indeed.
Great. Well,
Oh,
thank you so much, Alan. Take good care, and until next time.
all right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.